This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Welcome to Community Close-Up. I'm your host, Sharen Skelly, and we're going to be talking about all things Grey Roots Museum and Archives today. And our guests are Zach Erb and Stephanie McMullen. Welcome.
Thank you.
Pleasure to be here.
Zach is, I want to get this correct, the Marketing and Communications Coordinator, and Stephanie is the Volunteer and Village Coordinator. Am I correct?
Yes, you've got it exactly right.
You did it.
Well, thank you for being here. And the last, I guess, 2 years, we could say, have been a little unusual for the museum and archives. You've had to sort of morph into whatever the environment has asked you to do. We've been open, we've been closed, we've been sort of open and closed. It's been a real mixture of things. But how have you weathered that sort of environment?
We have certainly developed a lot of new skills. Our adaptability and flexibility is on point now. So we've been able to develop a lot more digital programming and digital offerings than we had traditionally, so that people can still access collections, can access stories. We have tried to modify some of our programming so that we can still offer it, but in ways that are safer for smaller groups to do. But we're really excited to be able to have a regular summer season this year. We're very much looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I think everybody is. You can just tell there's excitement in the air. People are getting out and they are looking forward to going to the museum. Children are excited. Well, people love going to the museum, to going to Grey Roots. It has so much to offer. It's a little, I'll say, not different, but it's got a little bit more to offer than the traditional museum because of the village that's attached to it. So maybe you can tell our viewers a little bit about what the museum has to offer just generally, and then we'll go into more specifics about what you have to offer upcoming.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to talk about the village here briefly, because for me, like, I love this facility, don't get me wrong, I love the entire place, but the village is sort of the crown jewel as far as I'm concerned, like 10 acres to explore outside. These beautifully maintained period buildings, which are just lovingly staffed by our great staff and volunteers. They put on quite the show out there, which is super, super popular with my kids, specifically, kids in general, I feel as well. I couldn't say enough about Morriston Village. I mean, prior to starting here, I love visiting it, and now I get to visit it every day, which is a real treat for me.
Can you tell us, well, I mean, I've had the luxury, because of what I do, I get to go around and visit all these things in town, like the Billy Bishop and all of these beautiful facilities that, you know, sometimes when you live in a place, you hear this all the time, you don't go there. But so I've been to the village, and it is amazing. And just the smells of it bring back memories. I mean, of your grandmother's kitchen. That's the one place that I love. But tell us a little bit more about the village, because we want our viewers to know about it so they'll say, I've got to go there. Just tell us a little bit more.
Well, the thing that's interesting about our village is that, unlike a lot of historic villages, we're not just one particular era. Our village is actually a walk through time. So we start with 1853, the early pioneer era of settlers coming here, and we go through 1886 when things are really up and coming in Grey County, and then we move into 1925. So you really move through all of those eras, and you have experiences in all of those eras. And we have homes, so you can see what people's home life was like. We have a school, we have a barn, we have a number of businesses. One of the ones that we're going to open this summer that a lot of people don't know about is we are going to have a woodworking shop that's set in 1853. And so those early carpenters, those woodworkers were really, really important to pioneer communities. And so we're going to be able to tell that story in that shop this summer. And then next year, of course, we're very, very excited about opening the general store. Oh. And the general store also has a secondary business in it of a dressmaker shop from 1925. So there's going to be so many fun stories to tell.
Oh, there are.
We had a seamstress through the other day in the back room where the dressmaker shop will be, and she was just loving the space back there. It's a beautifully laid out area, and we're really excited to get that off the ground for sure.
Mm-hmm. I love the service station garage thing. My grandfather owned a service station, and then it was Imperial Oil, and then it went to Esso. So it was one of the old time service stations, and it just brings back so many memories of the pictures my mom used to show, because 10 kids grew up. Of course, they ran the thing really. So there's something for every age there.
There absolutely is.
It's like you open up those doors and you go, wow. It's really magical. So it's something, like I say, it's unusual to have that at a museum. And then you go into, you leave the museum exhibit, which is always amazing. Whatever curated exhibits you have. I mean, you have had so many great ones. And your gift shop always has something that is attached to the exhibit, so you can get something great there. There's something for everyone. So the staff work really, really hard, and I don't know how you've gotten through the last 2 years, but you have. Everyone.
I'd really like to say a shout out to our volunteers. We have about 150 volunteers, and they have weathered this storm with us. They have helped with whatever projects and whatever instances they can during our periods of shutdown and when we've been able to open. And now that we're looking at returning to regular business operations, they're as excited as we are. They've missed it as much as we have. Those people who are in Gray and Bruce, and we even have volunteers in Simcoe County who come over and help. They make all the difference in terms of what we're able to offer to the public and in the vitality that we're able to bring, because their enthusiasm is so sincere and genuine, and they can't wait to meet people again.
Oh, I can't imagine being a volunteer at the museum. I don't have enough hours to slip that into my calendar. So while we're on the topic of volunteers, what opportunities do you have for volunteers at Grey Roots?
Well, one of our biggest opportunities coming up is, in fact, to volunteer in one of the buildings in Morriston. All of the buildings do have opportunities, so you can volunteer in the 1853 log cabin or the 1853 woodworking shop, the 1886 log house, or the 1925 farmhouse, schoolhouse, blacksmith shop, or garage. This summer, we have opportunities for everybody, and it's 1 3-hour shift a week in July and August. We'll costume you, we'll train you. We just need your smile and your friendly personality to come in and meet with visitors. Those are our biggest needs. And then we have other opportunities with other projects that we have. We have a model railway or scale railway that we're working on. We have vintage vehicles that, if you have an older car, it always needs some TLC. Oh. So we've got those kinds of opportunities. And of course, we also have a special event coming up. And so special event volunteers, if you only have a few hours every now and then, we have special event volunteers. And in particular, we've got one coming up very soon.
Yes, we do. Dave,
well, now, sorry, if you want to be a volunteer, though, how do you go about becoming a volunteer? What's the process?
You can go to our website, which is just grayroots.com. And there's a page called Get Involved, and then you click on volunteering. And there's an online application form. There's a description of the different volunteer positions here at Grey Roots. So you can apply that way, and you're immediately put into our volunteer system, and I'll contact you. And then we'll have a nice chat about what you want to do, what your availability is, what you want to get out of volunteering at Grey Roots. And then we'll go from there.
Now, do you need a police check for volunteering at Grey Roots?
It really depends on the position. It really depends on what you're doing. Some of our positions do require police checks. Now, they have recently been made free by the Government of Ontario. So that's something that I would talk with you about as well, as far as getting all of those little ducks in a row so that we can get you started off on volunteering.
Okay. So that's good to know. So then we'll go into the events that are coming up. So can you tell us, Zach, about the events that are coming up?
Yeah, for sure. So the first one on the docket, so to speak, and first of all, just let me say, we already touched on it earlier, but like 2022 is feeling very much like a return to form for us. So like our regularly scheduled events and programmings all coming back, which we are ecstatic about, obviously, and we hope that the community is as well. So the first thing in the hopper here for us is we're calling it Spring into Morriston, which is an event on Saturday, May the 21st. It's going to run from 1 to 4, and as the title suggests, it's largely taking place in Morriston Village. So typically the village is just open in the summer months, right, July and August, but we're doing kind of like a sneak peek in the village. We'll have a bunch of the buildings all tidied up and ready to go for folks to meander about. We'll have ideally a good crop of friendly volunteers and staff members in the villages interacting with visitors. We've got a pretty full slate of activities as well. We've got live music going on. We have a fashion show planned, which is going to span like 100 years of Grey County fashion. And I'm certain there were some seriously stylistic wardrobe options over the last century and more in Grey County. We have a food truck coming in. It's the Fired Up at Grilled in Action food truck. So there'll be a food option there. Lots of kids' activities and games and just things to stay busy with. Just an afternoon event. It is pay by donation. So we're definitely hoping to have a good crowd out on May the 21st for Spring into Morriston. And ideally, the weather is beautiful. In the case that it's not, we do have some interior spaces that will be available as well. So we'll have folks out rain or shine, and we are very much excited for that one.
That sounds really fun. And like we said, people are just so happy to get out and moving again and seeing other people.
100%.
I haven't seen people. So that's really nice. Now, are there COVID restrictions? Like how are you managing that? What are you doing? What is the...
So we're a mask friendly facility at this point. You're welcome to have your mask on when you're in the building, in the main building, and we do encourage social distancing between family groups. Otherwise, there are sanitation stations throughout the building. We're not at this point checking for proof of vaccination at all. So I mean, we're conscious that we're operating inside of a pandemic and we are behaving appropriately and within all the guidelines. But yeah, there's no vaccines being checked at this point. We do encourage distancing, as I said, and we are indeed mask friendly. So mask up as and where you wish, and just behave appropriately. We'll look forward to having you.
What other events are you planning over the summer? Do you have any fundraising or anything like that?
Well, we're bringing back our summer kids camp this year, which is just super good news for me personally because my kids are going, and we're just very, very much looking forward to having a good crop of kids out in the summertime. We've been light on events, right, the last few years, and in fact, light on in-person visiting with like a few flurries, as you mentioned earlier. Like we had a lot of closures over the last little while. March break this year was feeling like a bit of a return to form. We had tons of families and young kids out, and it was absolutely amazing to see the community come out that way. So we're looking forward to that same sort of thing coming back with our kids camp in July and August.
What can you tell us a little bit about the kids camp?
Yeah, for sure. So it is week-long programs that kick off in July. I believe we are going every week in July and August, with the exception of, is it the first week of August?
Yes, the short week there in August.
Other than that, we've got all sorts of activities planned. Each week has its own theme. There's like a Go Green theme, so you learn all about environmental and ecological awareness. We've got STEAM, so science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. It's not just like a camp where you go and play games and have a good time, although you will play games and you will have a good time. These are like specifically tailored educational programs, which are going to keep your kids engaged, physically and mentally and socially. And this is just another thing that we've missed dearly over the last little while. And we are just super, super excited to be bringing it back.
Okay, so it's a camp. Is there a cost involved?
There is, yeah. So I believe it is $160 for non-members and a little bit less for members.
Yeah, I think it's about $148 for members.
So members enjoy a 10% discount on all sorts of programming, including Kids Camp. So if you are considering coming out to Kids Camp and you are not a member, I would certainly recommend giving that consideration, as it will drop your bill a fair bit. But yeah, it is. You pay for the week that you're out for. You can sign up for multiple weeks if you wish, and we would love to have you for 1, 2, 3. However many.
And how old are the children that attend camp?
So it's ages 5 to 10.
5 to 10. Okay. Oh, that's a great age. They're always inquisitive and want to learn, and they're excited to be there. They want to be there. Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, that excitement gets carried through right through the facility. I mean, when we have all these kids out here that are just engaged and running around and having a good time, it's noisy, but it is super, super fun.
Kids are noisy.
Indeed. It's been great having them back in the building.
So who teaches the kids camp? Are you looking for people, or have you got them all covered, or?
Kids Camp is under the direction of our colleague, Laura Arnold. She is fantastic with the kids. She is also a certified qualified teacher, so she's also able to straddle that line between being fun and being intellectual, and the kids love her. And she has hired 3 staff to work under her this summer, and they are really great summer students. I've had the pleasure of meeting and talking with all of them, and they love kids. They're really excited to get the kids here and to be working with them.
That would be a great job for the summer, wouldn't it? Yeah, that would be good. Yeah, that would be a great gig for the summer. So as we know, and I hear this and I talk about this on the show every week, nothing runs without money. So how do you get funding for the Grey Roots Museum and Archives? And do you do fundraisers, and do you take donations? And how does that figure into the conversation we're having today?
The short answer is yes to all of the above.
Yes, please. I mean, yeah, donations are a big part of the facility here, not just financial donations, though we are indeed always happy to accept those. We do receive donations of archival material all the time. Folks often, actually in the springtime, it's quite active donating items to our collections. One thing that I'll mention as far as what helps us stay funded is membership, really. I mean, we have a pretty healthy core of members, so we are always, adding to the benefits of membership programs, and happy to have more folks join us as members. We've got various tiers from individual adults to seniors to family, which is the most popular option, to all the way to corporate memberships. So, signing up for a membership is a great way to support this facility, and you get all sorts of perks yourself, i.e. you can visit the museum at, no charge beyond your membership dues for the entire year. We've partnered with many other museums and institutions in the area, so you get visitation there as well. A discount on items like Kids Camp, et cetera. So that is a big one as far as what keeps the lights on here at Grey Roots.
Okay, so you just go onto the website and sign up to be a member that way too. The same way as you become a volunteer, you go onto the website and fill out, and you can do that all electronically.
Yes, yeah, you can. You can also do it in person. I mean, if you're out visiting the museum, and you can just chat with the folks behind the front desk, they can get you a form. But yeah, online, it's just greyroots.com/membership. All the information is there, and it's a very, very painless process, having done it myself recently.
Very good. Now, of course, you're a museum, so you have exhibits. So can you tell us what the exhibits are now, or what your future exhibits are? You can talk about that.
Absolutely. We have a few little fun recent updates and changes. We have a really great exhibit called Signs, and it is not surprisingly, about signs. And so when you walk in, you'll see different types of signs from Grey County's history. And you'll walk in, I know I walked in and saw some of the signs that I remembered from when I was a little kid. And so it's just a really nice, fun walk down memory lane, looking at all of these signs and businesses and things in Grey County's history. We also have in our permanent gallery, we have a reprisal of our apples exhibit. And of course, apples and the apple industry has been very important in Grey County since the second half of the 19th century. And we really get to the core of it.
Very good.
Couldn't help myself. So this exhibit looks at why Grey County is able to be a leader in apple production, some of the really interesting things about apples and that whole story that I, for example, did not know about before we started working on the exhibit. It's, for such a humble little fruit, it's got quite a story to it. So
Now this is current, this is up and running.
yes.
How long has it been up?
Last week.
Oh.
We just installed it last week. And of course we have our permanent gallery, which is got a mix of old and new, because we are on a multi-year project of refreshing that gallery. If you haven't had a chance to come in and see Voices of Grey, because again, that was in that transitional into the COVID era, it is a really great look at individual stories of the people of Grey County that together tell the history of Grey County. And so you actually get to hear personal experiences and those personal stories and images and poems and all kinds of things. In our traveling exhibit gallery, we have an upcoming exhibit called Arctic Voices, which is coming from Science North. It will be arriving May 23rd, I believe. So opening later that week. And this exhibit looks at the voices of the North, both human voices, but all the sorts of neat animals and experiences that are really unique to Northern Canada. And so in the hot days of July, we'll be happy to travel to the Arctic.
Wow. Now you sent in some pictures, and perhaps you can tell us a bit about them, what you sent in and what the stories are behind them.
Yeah, so one other exhibit that we have in-house right now and that we've sent over some photos for would be the Durham, let me see if I can pronounce this correctly, a sesquicentennial.
Well done.
The 150th year of Durham is being celebrated this year. So we have an exhibit in the foyer just kind of highlighting the history of Durham, and it's got some really cool artifacts actually from the community. I believe we had some good community participation. We're partnered with the Durham Art Gallery on that, and we had a little call out for submissions of whatever items the community had that they'd like featured. And we have a lot of just neat items out there on Durham. Would recommend coming by, whether you are a Durhamite or not. If you've driven through or if you've just heard the name Durham, it's worth stopping in on for sure. The other selection of photos I think we sent over was for Zeus's Place, which is our recently remodeled, redone, and revitalized and just totally beautiful children's gallery. So we did some work on that space starting last year. We've got 2 gigantic murals in it, which are meant to just really put children into the environment. One of them is a forest scene from Inglis Falls, just right around the corner. So it's hyper local because Inglis Falls is right that wall over there.
Right.
And the other image is from the interior of our schoolhouse in Morriston. And the space has been totally redone. It's been a partnership funded by Fairmount Security, Thomas Wielden being proprietor of. And Zeus, the namesake of Zeus's Place, is their dog over at Fairmount Security. And he is a beautiful black lab, and there is a model's rendition of him in the room. Lots of stuff in there to get the kids engaged and have a lot of fun with.
It's amazing. Now, when you have archives, when you say Graeber's Museum and Archives, the archives are archives of just just tell us, the viewers, what the archives are contain.
The archives is such a rich treasure trove of local history. It contains everything from government records and documents, maps, but it also contains newspapers from across Grey County. I use them quite a lot, actually, in research, because you look through these newspapers and you get a real sense of the personalities and the issues of the day. We have journals, we have photographic collections, anything that you can imagine that is related to the history of Grey County, the archives has it. So if you want to do family research,
yes, I was going to say, if you're doing research for a book or whatever, you can come in and treat them kindly, but you can find them likely in the archives.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. The archives is a fantastic place. If you're doing any kind of research, then they can, if by some chance we don't have the particular documents that you're looking for, our archival staff are amazing. They know everybody who has every little thing, and they can help you on your path to your next destination. If we don't have what you need, they'll get you set up.
I love that, on your path to your next destination. That sounds so literary. So poetic. You're just like our poet laureate. I just love the way you have everything set up, and especially when I'll go back to the village, but you've put whoever designs these buildings and whoever's done the work has put such care into every little detail. I mean, even when I go back to the house, I remember my nanny Skelly's house had the little thing on the wall for the matches and that every detail is there. I mean, it's just amazing. Everyone will love going there. So what are your hours going to be from now until the summer? Are you open every day? What time do you close? What time do you open?
So currently we're open Tuesday to Saturday, 10 to 5. That will change over after the Victoria Day weekend, or rather during that weekend. So from Victoria Day weekend on, we are back to 7 days a week, 10 to 5.
Good to know. And it's a great place to visit. I'm really happy you were able to come and tell us all about the museum and the archives, and you're doing great work for everybody in the community and actually in the province, because we get lots of visitors here. Thank you for visiting us here today. And I just want to mention that I'm wearing an RNAO pin today because this month is May, and we recognize nurses, and I'm a retired RN, and it's Nurses Month, or week here in May. And so, hug a nurse. If they're retired, not too tight, because they probably have back problems and arthritis, but nurses have helped us through the pandemic and they deserve some respect. So hug a nurse. And thank you for joining us here on Community Close-Up. And remember, it's your community, so take part and be careful out there. We still are in the midst of a pandemic, so do whatever you want, but be careful. And thanks for joining us here on Community Close-Up. Join us on Rogers TV again. Bye for now. I'm Sharen Skelly.
Bye.
Bye.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line. Email us or connect with us on social media.
Calling all journalism students. Omni Television is once again awarding scholarships to qualified students pursuing a career in third language journalism.
Canada is a multicultural